Do you have a moment that makes you strange? Don't you think the way you are in a dream makes you feel strange? In our dreams, we're faced with a variety of situations, including unrealistic situations, bizarre situations, ideal situations. Freud's The Interpretation of Dreams suggests that we can see our unconsciousness through our dreams. In a dream in a strange environment, I am not just a person, the other in a bizarre situation. I become a medium that allows me to identify my thoughts deep inside. And now I want to know about the unconsciousness of I through the dream. First, let's briefly talk about Freud's theory of interpretation of dreams. Freud's theory of interpretation of dreams suggests that every element in a dream comes from our unconsciousness. Since our consciousness comes out of subconsciousness, dreams are not about telling the future, but about the past, and in any sense, they are clearly rooted in the past. Freud offers 4 sources of dream, and are categorized as external sensory stimulation, inner sensory stimulation, inner body stimulation, pure psychological stimulation. External sensory stimulation is the stimulation that we always feel from outside contact. You can easily relate to the idea that alarm as the external sensory stimulation is the sufficient element of a dream. Second, inner sensory stimulation is the source of a dream, which is the images haunting you at the stage of the sleep. Next, internal body stimulation is where the body stimulation of the organ affects the dream. Just as Trumbull said, we perceive our physical condition much deeper and wider in sleep. The body's internal stimuli are sometimes the source of dreams. Finally, the psychological stimulator is the source of dreams. That the interest we have during our waking hours is also the interest in our dreams. What we can see from this is that most of the stimuli we receive can be expressed through our dreams. He also says dreams are a disguised achievement of suppressed and repressed wishes. If you interpret unpleasant dreams and anxious dreams that are not seen as wish fulfillment, it can also be revealed as wish fulfillment. Because there's a wish that you can't tell anyone, a wish that you don't even want to admit. Freud says condensation and displacement occur in dreams. Dreams are short, concise, and poor in comparison to the size of the thoughts. It takes condensation to shape the unconscious thoughts that we feel into our dreams. And this condensation happens through omission, which is called condensation work. Then, the displacement refers to the process by which the emotional burden is separated from the actual object or content, and attached to something completely new. Simply put, giving a seemingly trivial dream of content such as anxiety, excitement, or extreme pleasure is called displacement work. These compressions and potentials are the main devices of dream distortion, and they are also the means to avoid psychological censorship when our ethically wrong inner consciousness is expressed. Let's take an example. P woke up and remembered his dream of his friend R appearing as his uncle, and made it strange. Actually, his friend R's beard was black, but in his dream, it was almost the color of an old man's beard. A friend's face was his own and at the same time R's uncle's. On interpretation, his uncle was punished 30 years ago for committing a heavy punishment by the law for his desire to earn money. R's father always said that uncle was not a bad man, but he was a man who was very thoughtless. As for his friend R, P was usually thinking he was a man short in thought. As such, our unconscious thoughts are expressed in our dreams with distorted, compressed forms. Now let's take a deeper look at the dream. First, it's about the dream of A. Inside the room, A, her mother, father, her sister, and several people whom A couldn't remember are hiding. They know the monster is coming in, but no one is running away and locking the door. A is feeling extreme fear. When a monster comes in, as they are too afraid to be eaten by the monster, they are all obedient to the monster's words, trying not to show off. And they are dragged to places that are unknown by the monster in fear. Let's interpret her unconscious thoughts and feelings expressed in her dreams through the situations of A behind the dreams. A's family is usually harmonious. But conflict has led to an uncontrollable and major conflict. The conflicts between parents have always been caused by grandmother and grandfather. Dad wanted Mom to take care of grandmother and grandfather a little more, and she was disappointed of him much about not understanding her efforts at all and not consoling her, so they couldn't understand and care for each other. A feels an extreme sense of fear while hiding in a dream. Seeing her mother and father fighting, a thought that it would be good for her family to split up if it was going to be this painful, and that she would not be sad to split up. Such feelings expressed as extreme fear in the dream, avoiding censorship as she thought family should not be broken easily. They are also seen being dragged somewhere by a monster. Hopes that one day the conflict will end, and come to a peaceful end, but she was actually feeling more on the way to the crash. The 2 or 3 people in the room are remembered only by the figures, not the exact faces. Also, the people and her family were acquainted. I usually thought that grandmother, grandfather, and aunts made the family more difficult. They were family of A, but actually she wanted to regard them as not a family, so the idea of erasing them from the family relationship becomes intangible people. And A remembers the monster that appeared in this dream clearly, waking up. I thought the monster was just an external factor that made her family difficult. But the monster was A herself. She felt herself a monster, a devil, who usually felt that she would not be sad even if his family broke up. A monster with no love or emotion. When she saw herself, she was afraid that she might be the one that ruins her family relationship. Let's look at another dream of A. She often dreams of her friends appearing. What she always finds strange in this dream is the emergence of situations where her middle school friends, high school friends, college friends and church friends know each other. In friends who never know each other, they are always having fun and friends know each other well. I wonder if it was a dream that she dreamed because of herself having so much relationship that she could be confused with her friends. But she soon becomes aware that she actually wants her friends to never know each other. In middle school, she felt that it was the time when she was the most jealous and had no love. So, she doesn't want to look back at the time herself. She discriminated against and ignored her friends who felt different because she did not have any love. She didn't and couldn't hide her feeling that she was not that favorable of that friends. She was jealous, so she always compared herself with others, so the result envying other friends. Because of that she considered herself smaller than she was because the desire she wanted to be the best was too strong. She always didn't want to remind of her middle school time, and didn't want to take it out from below of her mind. That's why she was afraid that her friends who had seen it from the side might tell their friends who didn't know it. She was afraid that someone would find out her weakness of the past, which she also hates so much. The dream of not wanting it to happen, but she is enjoying it more than anyone else in her group of mixed friends. She is actually avoiding her own feelings of fear and anxiety through the potential of extreme pleasure. Which means that she is trying to ignore her anxiety and fear. According to the Freud's interpretation of dreams, if we were extremely sad when someone who was dear to us died in the dream, in fact, the dream was expressed because we thought we wanted him to die at least once. In the situation we are feeling extremely sad about something to avoid the censorship in the dream through the feeling of extreme sadness. The dream of A is similar to this. It also hides feelings by expressing the extreme joy in friends over the fear that her past might be caught by someone else. Lastly, let's take a look at the other dream of A. After waking up, A was happy, saying, "I slept deeply today without dreaming." As soon as she cleaned the bed, and went out for breakfast, she felt like she had a dream. She couldn't remember anything, but she wanted to remember what dream she had, but she couldn't remember anything. Still, she tried to remember. But she couldn't. She went to the kitchen at her mom's call to give up thinking and come out for breakfast. While eating breakfast, she told her mom, dad and sister that she feels like she dreamed something, but she cannot remember. But nobody seemed to be curious of her dream. Only A was stuffy. She tried to remember again but couldn't remember it. As she was going to take a shower, the image of her family, and herself being in the England flashed across. Then she could remember all of her last night dream. she was living there with her family, not traveling. She was having breakfast in England like she ate with family this morning. They were walking around London Bridge together, taking a walk, going to the Tate Museum of Art she had visited before, and doing her daily lives together. They were also happy and looked pleased. She thought she had a pleasant dream. I felt better. She also taught her dreams to her mom and dad, and shared hope that the day will come when her family can live together in England. Then, does this dream tell her what will happen in the future? It may, but more than that, this dream is also a dream that has been expressed based on past events. When she visited England with her family 7 years ago, that time was too precious for her. Being with her family in her dream city, and being able to share pretty and good things was a great joy for her. In the present tense situation of the family, she had always missed such a past family being joyful. And the happy family was represented in the family in the England. Her desire for the family being happy to be a permanent pleasure rather than a temporary one, as it has appeared as a daily routine, not a trip. It reminded her that joy actually existed, and still existed for her, who thought that there seemed to be not much joy to their family in her unconsciousness. Dreams confirmed her wish, and gave her the strength to have it. So, let's sort it out. We looked at 3 dreams of A. The first dream is to have a family of A and a monster. A was in extreme fear, and there were people who were familiar with her family, but they had only a dim figure, not the exact image. Her fear was revealed by the displacement of her emotion, as actually destruction of her family seemed not to be sad and not afraid to her. It also reflects her desire to erase her grandmother, grandfather and aunt from their family life, who she thinks are the ones who make her family conflict worse. Monster in the dream may seem to be an external element that made the family difficult, but it was actually her idea that it's okay for her to destroy the family. And also reflects her emotions that herself of not being scared, not feeling scared of her family destruction looked like the devil. The second dream she had was a dream that her friends, who came to know from different places, were playing together in one place. Especially, she was having the most fun. It wasn't a dream to come together that as she had a lot of relationships she was confused about when she became close to them. She was afraid that people who met her who was jealous, loveless, and thought of herself as small in the middle school would come to know people she met after a change of course. So, it's the thing she's most afraid of. She wanted to avoid the situation that friends who know who she was to be getting with them who don't know who she was. When that dream came out, she tried to avoid her fears by enjoying herself the most among the friends. The last dream of A that she didn't remember right after she woke up was to have fun in England with her family. This dream was that her unconscious wish to make her family happy permanently, not temporarily, was compressed into the moments of her happy trip to England. It wasn't a visionary dream of the future. The dream wasn't the pleasure that ended up in the trip to England, but the joy that she enjoyed in her daily life in England. So, we have unrealistic dreams of monsters, possible but almost impossible dreams, and some fantasy that we desire to happen to us. In those dreams, I appear as the other in a situation which I can't experience. Because I seem to be feeling emotions that I don't feel, and I am experiencing situations that I won't experience. But in fact, the situations that the stranger experienced and the feeling that the other felt were all the results which are compressed with the feelings and thoughts that we felt, and the things we saw. And through that the other, you may find the unconsciousness that you didn't know, that you wanted to avoid. What kind of dream are you dreaming? What kind of unconsciousness does the other in your dream tell you? Sometimes it's not bad to listen to what ideas are in your unconscious, rather than simply passing through a dream.